Scholastic Audio presents Uprising by Jennifer A. Nielsen, read by Gail Shallon. About once each week, I returned to that area where Stefan had been, hoping to see him again and prove that I was ready to be part of the resistance. Every time he wasn't there, I took a walk around the block. I had a watch with me this time, so that I could return to the same place in exactly 30 minutes. I learned to count the number of Germans I saw, to keep my eyes down and my ears open as I listened to their conversations. I'd get so excited about what I'd heard that I'd hope and pray when I returned to the building Stefan would be there so that I could share the information. But he never was. I was on another round today, taking my final walk up Shuka Alley. Things felt different today, though I wasn't sure why. It was about 5:30. I should have been home preparing our supper. I knew Mama would be angry with me, and that she'd have questions about why it wasn't ready, questions I couldn't answer. I'd learned how to avoid answering her. I simply started a fight, and before long, she didn't want to hear another word from me. Mission accomplished. As usual, I was walking in the street, leaving the sidewalk clear for the Germans. Nearby, other Poles were walking as well. Stefan was one of them. I started to call out to him, then stopped myself. No, of course he wouldn't want me to identify him here. Or anywhere. That would have been an enormous mistake. The boy walking beside Stefan checked his watch, then said to the others, "Rudy should be here at any moment. Then we act." I didn't know who Rudy was, only that all of them straightened up when he spoke, each one looking around the area without drawing any attention to themselves. A truck began rumbling down the street. It stopped at an intersection 2 blocks from the Gestapo building. "No!" Stefan yelled. He pulled a pistol from his pocket and fired at some German soldiers near the truck. They took cover and began firing back. Other groups of Poles in other parts of the street emerged from out of nowhere and also began firing. A few of them were able to reach the driver's door, yank it open, and pull the driver onto the street. With the growing exchange of gunfire, I crouched low behind a lamppost, though it didn't come close to protecting me entirely. I knew I was still far too exposed, but there was nowhere I could go. I covered my ears with my hands and watched as other Poles hacked at the back of the truck, finally opening its locked doors and dragging out a prisoner from inside. The prisoner was clearly injured and having trouble walking. One of his rescuers picked him up to carry him over his shoulder. I gasped aloud. The rescuer was Richard. I nearly screamed at him to get out of this area. Bullets flew so quickly in every direction, I knew he couldn't escape them all. A boy at his side was hit and fell, but Richard ran, even with the prisoner over his shoulder. Once everyone was clear, someone lit a Molotov cocktail and threw it at the truck, and it erupted into flames. Then, as quickly as it had started, the fight was over. The Poles jumped into waiting cars and sped away. At least 4 Germans lay dead in the street, and 2 Poles. One of them was Stefan. I left as quickly as I could, almost numb with fear but determined to never go near Shuka Alley again, not for any reason. It was another 4 days before I could get Richard to talk about what had happened that day. When I did, he only said, "It was all for nothing. The person we rescued was one of the resistance leaders, but the Nazis had already injured him too badly. He didn't survive." "At least you showed the Germans that we are willing to fight back," I said. "Yes, and they showed us what happens when we do," he replied. "The day after our attack, they executed 140 of their prisoners. We do a teaspoon of good, they respond with buckets of evil." "Then we need more people on the side of good," I said. "Let me help. I want to join the resistance." "No." Richard's tone was as firm as ever. As soon as he left my room, I opened the wood block of my window and peered down into the ghetto. The Jews inside there were planning something, I was sure of it. They knew they had upset the Nazis, and that before long the Nazis would return. They were getting ready. I was going to help them. One way or another, I was making myself part of the resistance.